So today we will cover one topic in molecular basis of inheritance that is very important, that is regulation of gene expression. How the gene which is being expressed, it is being regulated. There are different levels at which this will be done. One is at the transcription level. What is transcription level? When the DNA is forming the RNA. So at that level only, at the first step only, the regulation will be there, check will be there, checkpoint will be there that yes, properly RNA has to form. Next will be that when this RNA has formed, we know it is mRNA, which is messenger RNA. The messenger RNA, where it is formed inside the nucleus, where it has to transport in the cytoplasm. Now why it has to transport in the cytoplasm? Because in the cytoplasm itself, there will be translation process. Translation means the protein synthesis, that is the ultimate goal, that it has to code for something. So it has to go in the cytoplasm. Here also one checkpoint will be there that properly mRNA modifications are there, 5' capping and 3' tailing. This is done. Now before it transports, there has to be splicing also. Now what is splicing? Because I had told you earlier, if this RNA molecule or initially this DNA, on DNA there are coding and non-coding regions. Coding regions are exons and non-coding regions are introns. So exons will code for a protein but introns will not code for anything. So we don't require this thing which will not code for anything. We require gene. We require the gene which is coding for protein. So this will be removed. So removal of these introns is called as splicing. So this process will be also regulated. Or you can say processing. The processing of the RNA molecule. This will also be very important process. Then we come to this is moving out, and finally translation. At the translation level also, when the proteins are being formed, it has to be regulated. Now in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes, how it is different? In prokaryotes, we have a single DNA segment that can code for multiple polypeptides. Polypeptide A, B and C. Like this. A single gene segment can code for that. But in case of eukaryotes, it is only one. Means one structural gene will code for one polypeptide. So that is how their regulation will be different. So in the NCERT, the regulation in E. coli has been discussed and we will take that. So these steps should be clear first of all, where regulation has to carry out. Then let us look at the example which is discussed, that is regulation of gene expression in bacteria. The simplest bacteria which in lab we can study is E. coli, Escherichia coli. Again for the basic simple reasons that it is going to grow easily in the lab, and the generations also have huge amount, means the offspring which is being produced, the next generation which is being produced is in more number. Means a single cell will give rise to multiple new colonies, multiple new organisms. So that is why E. coli is used and it is the simplest model to study. So there were scientists, Jacob and Monod, which these actually who studied this kind of gene expression in E. coli. Now what type of gene expression they studied? They gave the concept of operon. Operon is a collection of regulatory genes and also the structural genes. So collectively all those sequences, now we are not saying gene, we are not saying cistron, collective that segment which is regulating the gene expression will be called as operon. So they studied the lab operon in E. coli. What is this lab actually? This is lactose utilization. This process is studied in detail. So let us see what type of operon was present in E. coli which they studied. So if suppose this is the DNA segment, there is a promoter region, there is a inhibitor region, Again, there is a promoter region. There is also one operator region. Then we also have structural gene region and the termination point. So this collectively forms the operon. Now what we see over here, that there are promoters. One thing is promoter P. There is inhibitor and also there is operator. And then we have structural gene. These are the main components and the termination factors which will terminate the process, because somewhere it has to stop. On the promoter, what will bind? The enzyme which has to transcribe the lactose utilization. See, lactose E. coli takes, how it will utilize. Genes have to start functioning. Then inhibitor. Now what is this inhibitor? This will be expressed constitutively. Constitutively means that it is expressing all the time in the cell, irrespective of what is present, what is not present. Means whether lactose is there in the media, whether glucose is there, doesn't matter. It will always express, so it is said, the inhibitor is being expressed constitutively. Operator is the sequence which will help the RNA polymerase to bind on promoter. Without operator, RNA polymerase will not be binding, because it will not guide the RNA polymerase to move to the promoter region. So operator is guiding this RNA pol that yes, you bind on this promoter region. Then comes the structural gene which will be coding for the polypeptides, yes, and it will be helping in the lactose utilization. So there are collectively 3 genes over here which will be coding for that. Okay. Then we have termination where it will stop. Now let us see that how these things are happening over here. See, the structural gene which is present is Z, Y and A. These are the names of the genes given over here. I have told you inhibitor expresses all the time constitutively. So this inhibitor will be formed. Suppose this is the inhibitor. What it will do? It will bind on this operator. So means RNA polymerase cannot bind now. Even if promoter is there, it will not be able to bind because operator is not guiding it. So even if RNA polymerase is there, it is present, but repressor is binding on the operator. So there will be no transcription. No transcription means there will be no genes which are producing the particular enzyme or protein which will help to utilize lactose in the media. Now let us see the situation if I provide lactose in the medium. I have provided lactose now. What this lactose will do? Suppose this is lactose molecule. And this is repressor. Repressors are present here also. Some will bind, some are present. Like I told you, it is constitutive expression. Always it will express. So this lactose will bind to this. Means the situation now, what happens? This repressor now is binding onto this. Now will this repressor bind now on operator? No. Because maximum of the lactose is binding with the repressor. So now repressor cannot bind here. So this operator site is free. RNA polymerase can come and it will start coding for the different enzymes which are required to utilize the lactose. What are these enzymes? Z, Y and A. It is also said Z. So it is coding for beta galactosidase. This is coding for permease and this is coding for transacetylase. Now what is it doing? Lactose is a disaccharide containing 2 sugars. That is, lactose, if I write here, it is equal to galactose and glucose. Okay? So to utilize lactose means we have to digest it, degrade it into gal and glu, means galactose and glucose. Which enzyme will do this? Beta galactosidase. Galactosidase. It will form galactose and glucose. Permease, permitting. It will allow this lactose to move inside the cell. Because lactose is outside sitting, it has to come inside, it cannot come by its own. This enzyme will help it to come inside. Trans-acetylase will help further to modify the lactose molecule and help in utilization. Okay, helping in the making of the bonds. Now, over here if I say that when lactose is present, right, it is inducing the transcription. Can I say like this? So lactose will be called as inducer of lac operon, and this I gene will be called as a gene which is coding for repressor. So there are two things, repressor and inducer. Repressor is always expressing. When inducer will come, it will bind to repressor, it will not allow it to bind here. So here synthesis will happen. These are the three enzymes which are present. Now, can I say that lac operon is negatively regulated? Yes, there is negative regulation because of this repressor, as it is constitutive. It is always expressing. Repressor is constitutive, always expressing. So it is going to be a negatively regulated kind of mechanism. Okay. Then another important factor, permease. This permease has to be expressed at little level. Always permease has to be expressed. Why? Because lactose has to come. Till now lactose was not there. Means expression is not there of these genes. Now suddenly lactose comes, but lactose has to come inside the cell. How it will come? If in the cell initially only permease is present already, it has to be present so that it brings that lactose inside. That is why we say that this, you can say lac operon is not totally switched off. Not totally switched off. Which means that some basal level of expression is there. It is not completely zero. Some basal expression will be there which will allow it to come, but maximum expression will be where lactose will bind. So this is how it is regulated in ethanol. After this, we will start with the Human Genome Project. That is a different concept than the regulation, and very important, how the genome of humans has been, you can say, sequenced. How we came to know that where ATGC is present, where GCAG is present. How we know? That is due to sequence of the human genome. So if you remember, I told you that the genome, the haploid content of the genome of humans is around 3.3 into 10 raised to the power 9 base pairs. So into 2 you do, that will be the total content. This is haploid content. So how this was sequenced? Let us see first that what were the goals of this Human Genome Project. That is in short form also called as HGP. Firstly, what was the goal? That we have to sequence the complete genome. Why we want to sequence? Suppose a disease is there and we need to treat that disease. If we know our sequence, then okay, then we will study, okay, here the sequence has changed. Maybe that is the causative agent for the disease to occur. Genetic diseases, when we talk about genetic diseases, so that is how it came into picture. This was done by a US company, US Energy Department, and NIH, which is National Institute of Health. In collaboration with that, there was another company of UK, that is Wellcome Trust, which generally contributes huge amount of money in these type of projects because it requires a lot of money. A single base pair, if you want to do the sequence, it costs $3 at that time. In what time I am talking about? In 90s. Okay, it used to cost $3 for coding only one, means getting the sequence of one base pair. So that is how it was expensive. So not many countries came into the picture that we have to start coding the genome, means the sequence of the genome we need to do. So humanly it is not possible to just see ATGC. So with the help of computers this was done. So it is also called as the branch of bio which uses the informatics and combines the bio part, that is bio bioinformatics. So what is bioinformatics? Using the computers to get the knowledge regarding the biomolecule, which is DNA. Okay. Now how it was done, that is the main important thing. There is a huge amount of this base pairs which are present. Okay. Now I need to know the sequence, how it will be done. One thing, there can be two approaches. One is blindly we just start digesting the human DNA. First of all, we have to isolate the DNA, and then blindly we are just digesting the DNA into small fragments. We cannot code like this, we cannot see the sequence like this, so we will digest it into small fragments using certain enzymes which are called as restriction enzymes. What are these restriction enzymes? These are enzymes which will digest the DNA at specific sites, at specific location it will digest the DNA. And then we will get different fragments. Those fragments will be better to sequence instead of the whole complete one. One approach was this, blindly doing it. Another was using ESTs, that is expressed sequence tags. Now what is this expressed sequence tags? We know that we have exon also, intron also. But this approach talked about only exons. That I don't want the introns, I only want that exons I should know because that is coding for protein. Why I will look for the intron? I will only look for the exons. So in this express sequence tags means we are using RNA sequences which are only having exons. And then we are going to digest it and different fragments will come. Do you think that when these fragments will come, they will overlap somewhere? Yes, because somewhere the sequence will be complementary. They can unite with each other also. Okay? So there was one scientist, Sanger, Frederick Sanger, the Sanger sequencing method. He also helped in amino acid determination of certain proteins also. So Sanger, he suggested that let us go for this approach and use different vectors. What are vectors? Understand? DNA is digested in different fragments. Now how we will study it in the lab? We have to use this fragment, we will take this fragment in a vehicle, this is a vector for example, circular DNA, and we will clone it here. What is cloning? Multiplying the same DNA fragment multiple times so that we are able to have a clear picture. So what type of vectors were used? BACs and GACs. Bacterial artificial chromosomes, yeast artificial chromosomes, because we need DNA only. In that DNA molecule, another DNA will be inserted and multiplied. Like this we need. Because see, this is done in test tube. With the digestion of the DNA is done in the test tube. Now we want to replicate that. Replication will not happen in test tube. We have to have certain vector which will be having origin of replication. Remember origin? Without origin, replication will not happen. So we have to provide those things, and then we can do it in the test tube by different mechanisms. So that is how they sequence all the things. So last part of the lecture is that we will see that this is the methodology. So what were the end results? And you will be surprised to know few of the points which they came to know. Like out of the whole human genome, only less than 2% of our genome codes for proteins. Rest other is junk DNA. It has different other functions, means it is not coding for any protein. Then they came to know that chromosome 1 contains maximum genes and chromosome Y contains the least of the genes. Then a single gene which is there, on an average it is made up of 3000 base pairs on an average. And a very important significant discovery over here was SNPs, SNPs. What are SNPs? Single nucleotide polymorphism. Now what is this, please understand? Single nucleotide, okay, single nucleotide polymorphism, many forms, means the human genome, if I just compare my DNA with your DNA, for example, the sequence, there will be around 1.4 million bases where we will be different from each other. But still we are humans. Why? Because these changes are there in non-coding regions. These are not in coding regions. Where these changes are in the introns, non-coding regions. So this is a very important concept. With this we will continue in the next lecture for DNA fingerprinting. So please be clear with single nucleotide changes are there in me and you. There are 1.4 million places where in our body, it only in non-coding region. Just remember non-coding.